What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video. In this one, it's team selection for Game Week 13. Game Week 12 is now finally over, so I'm going to show you how the team is shaping up, transfers, captaincy, all that good stuff, and I'll take you through how I did in blank Game Week 12. If you enjoy this video and you find it useful, make sure to give it a like, hit that subscribe button if you're new around here as well. So I got 61 points. I did take a 4-point hit. I'll come on to what those transfers were in a minute. I am now 25,000 places higher than I was just before I wildcarded. So I wildcarded in Game Week 9. I was about 641k. As you know, the last few weeks have not been great, and I'm pretty much back where I started. I still don't think the wildcard itself was necessarily a major issue. Like, I don't think I've made too many mistakes. I know Salah didn't work out, etc. I don't want to go into that again too much in this video. I think it was the Haaland captaincy in Game Week 9 which really killed me, but I am finally back to where I started, so hopefully we can kind of push on from there. The 4-point hit is the one that I kind of talked about a little bit. So Maddison and Nico Williams for Trossard as a 1-week punt, and then getting Trent Alexander-Arnold back in, who I would never have sold had we known that his injury wasn't as bad as was kind of first made out by both Klopp and journalists as well. The rumours were it would kind of be at least 2 weeks and he's back straight away. So I reversed that. Now, really quickly on the Maddison to Trossard move, that was only a 1-week punt. I wanted to target that Nottingham Forest fixture. Trossard hit the bar. He could have had an assist in that game. He also forced a really good save from Henderson too. So I don't really regret making that move. I would do it again. The only other players I really considered were Rashford, he blanked, Sinistera, he blanked, and Barnes, and he did score. But obviously when you're considering like 3 or 4 other players, you don't really care about that. With the hit for Nico Williams to Trent Alexander-Arnold, I feel like there was a bit of bad luck with this move and some good luck as well. So on the Nico Williams front, I was a little bit worried that Aurier would start, which he did. But then Nico Williams gets moved over to the left-hand side. So that's a bit of bad luck, I would say, that he started that game at left-back. And also bad luck they didn't concede. Because ultimately, Brighton put up over like 2.3 XG, I think it was. I don't know how they didn't score. I also had Brighton on last man standing. So it was just really bad game for me. Trossard blank, Nico Williams gets a clean sheet. Brighton don't win. It just wasn't great for me altogether. So there was some bad luck in terms of getting rid of Nico. There was also some good luck in terms of getting Trent in, because Liverpool could have definitely conceded. Bowen missed a penalty. There was that really great chance at the end. I think it was from Souček, which Milner got a block in on. So look, some bad luck there. So maybe good luck with Trent. Overall, it kind of evened itself out. The hit itself actually came up 1 point up, but obviously I could have just done Maddison to Trossard and left it at that. So look, that's the moves I made. Overall, I'm pretty happy with the game week though. It was quite a big green arrow. I think I was like 900k or something like that, maybe 800k before this week. So that was a decent rise in overall rank. I don't want to clap down the mic because it'll be annoying, but I just want to give a round of applause for Danny Ward. That's now his 3rd clean sheet in 4 games since I wildcarded him in. Again, a little bit of luck there. I don't know how he came away with 3 bonus points, but he scored 8, 1, 6, and 9. That is fantastic for someone that's 4 million. I may still look to move him on. I'll come on to that in a little bit, but very happy with that. Trippier, obviously, just great. So consistent this season. Newcastle defence is decent. We'll quickly touch on the Salah blank. Not ideal. He did play most of the match in kind of right midfield. I do not think that's as good for him. And I think one of the things I'll think about going forward, especially for captaincy, is where he might be playing. He did have a few chances. There was a couple of chances where he was through on goal. And the ball just wasn't quite the right weight of pass. Like there was one I remember where he just got there just behind Fabianski. A split second earlier, maybe he would have got a goal. But look, he blanked. It doesn't feel so bad because Kane blanked as well. But it is annoying because that would have been an even bigger green arrow had he got something. Zaha comes in with a goal. So does Mitrovic. Solanke blanks. He's now had 4 returns in 4. I absolutely take that. And Andreas Pereira could have got more attacking returns last night. So overall, a really good week. I wish I was further ahead in the overall ranks, but at least it's nice to finally be ahead of where I was before I wildcarded. Let's hope we can kick on. So looking at Game Week 13, I've got 1 free transfer and 2.4 million in the bank. So I'm somewhat flexible in terms of the moves that I can make, but obviously I need to get rid of Leandro Trossard. So I'll come on to what I'm thinking between Saka and Foden in just a minute when we get on to midfielders. The defence kind of picks itself this week. There's no need for me to use a transfer on Danny Ward. I'm not necessarily expecting any clean sheets from now until Game Week 16 because I do think Leicester's fixtures are worse. It was the last 4 where I was hopeful, and obviously 3 clean sheets was way more than I expected. But Wolves are Away, I think, is not a bad fixture to have to play him in. From next week, when they play Man City at home, then have another 2 away fixtures afterwards, I may look at moving him on if I've got a spare transfer. That's obviously going to depend on what happens this week, other injuries, you know, to either players I own or players I'm looking to bring in. So he might be moved on if I've got the cash. Someone like Ramsdale, for example, because Arsenal's fixtures are fairly good, although they do have to play Chelsea away. But ultimately, if I have to keep him now and he doesn't get me anything else, I think he's already got enough to justify the inclusion and also his price as well. The defence kind of picks itself this week. I've got Gay on the bench, who definitely has a better fixture than Trippier, but given how good the Newcastle defence has been this year, and I definitely underestimated them, I did say there would be an improvement. I just wasn't convinced it was going to be as much of an improvement as it has been. So I don't think I can bench Trippier. I think he really is similar to how Trent and James have been in the past, where you just have to play them every game. And as much as Gay's got the better fixture, he's not playing in as good a defence, and he's definitely not as attacking. So I've got to play Trippier. I've got no issues with playing him at all. And obviously Cancelo was benched last week, so I could have him straight back in for Brighton at home. Man City have had a little bit of a break. They'll definitely be kind of gunning to get back and get a win after that loss against Liverpool as well. So Cancelo looks like a really good option. And look, Trent, Liverpool defence still not massively convincing, but they do have the fixtures. In the last 4 games up until the World Cup, they've got Forest away this week, Leeds at home next week, Southampton at home in game week 16. I don't mind playing him in any of those fixtures. And I do think in the game against West Ham, he was quite encouraging going forward, because it was that same 4-4-2 formation, and Tsimikas was the one mostly bombing on. But if you watch that game, Trent Alexander-Arnold did get forward quite a lot. Decent passes, created a lot of chances, obviously on corners as well. So I'm happy to have him, although I still won't completely rule out selling him in game week 15 to fund an attacking move instead. But I've got to give him Nottingham Forest away and Leeds at home. Liverpool is the first game this week. There is a chance that Trent Alexander-Arnold will be benched, especially as Milner got a little bit of a rest in the last game. So they may play him depending on Trent's fitness. Because it's the first game, I'm hoping we'll get early team news. If we do, and he's not playing, I'm not going to sell him because I don't have 2 free transfers to redistribute the funds. Although I wouldn't, again, completely rule it out. And instead, I'll probably just bench him for Gay if he's benched. Even though he could come on and get something against Nottingham Forest, I just wouldn't bother taking that risk when I could get a clean sheet from Gay. So that's the defence. Let's look at the midfield. So as it stands, I am not captaining Mo Salah against Nottingham Forest away, which if I said that in pre-season would have sounded absolutely crazy. But obviously Haaland has been on a different level. Man City are continuing to score lots of goals. So as it stands, I don't have the captaincy armband on him, but I'm not completely against switching it. I think a lot will depend on the team that Liverpool line up with. I'm not, like, it's not the fact that because he plays right midfield in a 4-4-2, he can never score points again. I don't think that's the case, but I do think he's a little bit less threatening, especially if Nunez plays as kind of a number 9, because he hogs a lot of chances. And as we've seen, he's great for FPL because he's very greedy. He will shoot on sight, and that's not necessarily great for the rest of the team. So if we get the lineup and he's lining up on the right of a 4-4-2, then I probably won't switch that armband. If we get the lineup and it's, you know, Carvalho on the left, Elliott on the right, and Salah's playing through the middle, that might change a little bit, especially if Firmino is lining up next to him. Now, for what it's worth, I think Firmino is due a rest, and Nunez is probably going to play again. But he did go off early in the last game, around the 57th minute, and it was to do with a bit of a hamstring issue. Now, I don't think there was anything major going on there. It was a little bit of a precaution, but if they don't want to take that risk, and we see Salah lining up front alongside Firmino, that could be tempting to switch to Nottingham Forest, especially in a game week where most people are going to go for Haaland. So it could be a bit of a differential, but I've been here before a few times. So right now, I don't have the captain armband on him, but I'm kind of tempted to switch. Martinelli back, got a little bit of a rest yesterday in the European game as well, so he should be fine for Southampton away. Obviously great value, definitely holding on to him. And I think because I've got Trossard to deal with and only 1 free transfer, I'm going to keep Zaha. Like, I think he's done okay. I think he's still a good option going forward. He's one of those weird ones where I don't think it's that bad to sell him, but I look at Southampton at home in game week 14, Nottingham Forest away in game week 16. Again, it comes back to that rush. Is there a rush to sell him? I don't think there is. So Trossard's the one that's going to be gone, and he's definitely going this week. Even if I get another injury from press conferences and stuff like that, I'm probably still going to sell Trossard and just do it for a hit instead. This is the move that I want to make, because in the next 2 game weeks, Saka has Southampton away and Nottingham Forest at home. And look, Foden is a really great option. I think it's close between the two. And if you want to go Foden over Saka, I don't think there's any issues with that whatsoever. But because of that Southampton at home fixture for Zaha in game week 14, get my dates right, I just don't feel like there's a rush to sell him, and I wonder if I could just go without Foden for 2 more weeks, which again, when you say it out loud, it sounds absolutely crazy. But the fixtures that Arsenal have, especially that Nottingham Forest at home fixture, I really want a second attacker for that. And look, I could even sell Saka in game week 15 and bring Foden in then, because Man City's fixtures, the next 2, they will score goals, because Man City always score goals. But Brighton at home, Leicester away are definitely tougher fixtures than what Arsenal have. But then they have Fulham at home and Brentford at home. I'm 100% having Foden for those fixtures if he's fit, right? Nothing's going to stop me doing that. But right now I'm looking at Saka. The problem is he got a bit of a kick last night. He's gone off. Arteta said he should be fine, but now he's flagged. And my worry is we are not going to hear from Arsenal or Arteta before the deadline because they played last night. And often that can happen where they play on Thursday night. They don't have a proper press conference before the deadline. So if I'm in any doubt about whether Saka's going to play or not, I'm just going to get Foden in instead. That just seems like the obvious move. That does put me in a tricky position for game week 14 if Saka is fine though, because then I would have to sell Zaha before Southampton at home. So maybe I've put myself in a little bit of a tricky position by getting Trent last week. But ultimately, I think you could say it's a little bit unlucky that Saka went and got, potentially injured. But if we know that he's fit and going to start against Southampton, then I'll probably play him. He did play, I think, 90 minutes in Europe, though. That is not necessarily ideal. So the backup is just to get Foden. That will be the move. Trossard is definitely out. My preference is to get Saka, but I've got no concerns whatsoever if I have to get Foden instead. So as you might expect, the captaincy is very boring this week. It is on Erling Haaland. Wasn't it nice in game week 12 to have a little bit of discussion and thought over captaincy? We get back to game week 13, and as long as kind of Pep doesn't say anything about his fitness or something like that in the press conference, then he's going to be my captain. I'm sure most people are going to put the armband on him this week. I'm not completely against moving it to Salah, and possibly, like I said, if we find out he's playing up front, especially with Firmino, maybe I'll use that as an excuse to switch back and go for the differential, but I've got no reasons to kind of back against Haaland the way he's been playing so far this year. The Brighton defence is pretty good, right? And again, their expected goals conceded numbers this season are decent again, but then you have to counteract that with the fact that Man City are the best attack in the league and they're going to score goals at home because they always do. So he will probably be remaining as my captain. Then I've got Mitrovic and Solanke. I think if I was wildcarding this week, I would probably move off a 3-4-3. I don't think there's anything wrong with Solanke or Mitrovic or Tony or Wilson or most of the forwards that people have in their team, Harry Kane as well, for example. But I think those midfielders are looking pretty good from now until game week 16. That's probably where I'd put my money, but I just don't have enough transfers to alter that right now. Mitrovic has got Leeds away. That's a perfectly good fixture. And look, West Ham away and Spurs at home for Solanke in the next 2 game weeks is not necessarily ideal, but he's extremely cheap, right? At some point, he's going to get a penalty. Hopefully, he puts it in the back of the net. It would be really annoying if they finally get one and he misses it, but he's always going to be on the pitch. He's not really a concern for me, so I'm happy enough with them. Like I said, I would switch on a wild card, but I think if you gave people a wild card every week, there's always switches and stuff like that and team structures and players that they would change, right? And that's not how the game works. So I'm okay with how the team is looking this week. Haaland's going to be my captain. Trossard is going to go, preferably for Saka. I think I would prefer to get news about him that he's definitely fit and definitely going to start. If not, I'll just go to Foden. I think that's an easy move. But again, I think like last week, I'm pretty happy with how the team is looking. I could really do with some differential points sooner rather than later from Salah with these good fixtures. He is due a double-figure haul, surely. I know he's not been playing necessarily fantastic, but he got the hat-trick against Rangers. He scored against Man City. Could have possibly had a goal from a half chance against West Ham. There is surely double digits coming soon. What better fixture than Nottingham Forest? And even if I don't have him captain, that will still do really good things for my overall rank. So would returns from Trent as well. But yeah, I think once I do that Trossard out fixture, the team is looking good. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. If you enjoyed that video, make sure to give it a like, hit that subscribe button if you are new around here, and I'll catch you again later on for the game week preview.